where human life is scorched. الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. That's which, concerning which, this Qur'an has been directly revealed about it. This Qur'an has been directly revealed to the societies of human beings that are being scorched and burnt and on the point of being affected and afflicted vehemently by the fact that they moved away from divine guidance. If you cannot see, and I cannot see, how much darkness we are living in, I'm absolutely certain that you're not a student of the Qur'an. If you cannot see the sadness, the depression, the oppression, the suppression, the injustices, the prejudices, the narrow-mindedness, and all the overall discomfort that humanity is living in, I am certain you are not a student of the Qur'an. Because anybody who studies the Qur'an, then he will see this nur that Allah has revealed to His beloved Prophet, even though he was an Arab, living in an age of Arab backwardness, living in an age of Arab stagnation, living in an age of Arab paganism. He was able to evolve a new society who not only salvaged their own wreckage, but became leaders of humanity in taking the torch of guidance to illumine those societies and beyond. So, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. So it means Ramadan has everything to do with this Qur'an more than anything else. Unfortunate for the average Muslim, his Ramadan or her Ramadan is about staying away from food and drink and marital relations. And that's the biggest thing in their life. And they'll be doing that from time they're small, and they will continue to do that until they leave this world. And ask them, what did they get? What did they achieve? What have they been empowered with to hand over to their children? Except to tell them to do the same thing. And that's why you find these communities following the tracks of their ancestors. They're doing the same thing. Like I asked someone some months ago, what do you get from Ramadan? They said, Ramadan is a month of blessings. We fast and we get a lot of blessings. I said, who told you that? I said, where do you see in the Qur'an that if you do this thing called fast, you're going to get blessing? Who are you fasting for? If you're fasting for God, then you can get blessing. But God doesn't need you and me to do anything for Him. And this word fast is a drop in the ocean of the meaning of Sawm and Siyam. To us, Sawm and Siyam means fasting, and that's all we're doing. So this Qur'an says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. Why did this Qur'an come in Ramadan? Because human beings were suffering all over the world. And the situation has not changed. Since this Qur'an came, the world continued to live in Ramadan. There was always need for this Qur'an. It always becomes relevant. Why? In what way? Hudan. It is Hudan. This Qur'an is guidance. When you lose your way, when you lose your values, when you lose your direction, when you lose your focus, when you and I and our families are going nowhere, we need to go to this Qur'an for guidance. When our masjids and our communities and our societies are going nowhere, we need to go to this Qur'an. That's the meaning of guidance. Hudan linnas. And it's not Hudan lil Muslim. We tend to confiscate that. We tend to show, oh, this Qur'an is for us. It's Hudan linnas. Every so-called Muslim is an obstacle to this Qur'an reaching non-Muslims. Every so-called Muslim is an obstacle for this Qur'an reaching non-Muslims by two things. by the hopeless life that we live, by the hopeless life that we live, and the fact that we find it easy to remain deaf, dumb, and blind where guidance is concerned. So we have nothing that we're leaving behind in terms of legacy of this Qur'an. So in that way, every so-called Muslim is responsible and liable. And you can look at us, and look at our families, and look at our friends and our communities, and you can see how liable we are. Because we hardly make a difference in the company that we sit. There's lots of useless talk, useless gossip. We are getting dead, and we are dying every day. I don't mean physically dead, but we associate in companies that courten death and decay. So this Qur'an came as a hudan. It didn't come to read it for barakat. It didn't come to read it for thawab. These are all interpolations and impositions. There's nowhere in this Qur'an tells you, if you read this Qur'an, kafa ya ain sad, dhikru rahma, alhamdulillah, you're going to get blessing for that. All those people who tell the world this are responsible. And all those people who swallow this opium bear the responsibility. Because you have caused this community to be helpless. Because you have built masjids, and you built organizations, and you support them in doing nothing. Because you want some sort of what we call catharsis in psychology. You want some catharsis in psychology to ooze your tensions of life that you created by being distant from the guidance of Allah. I tell you by Allah, unless we spend our time and our health and our talents and our money, that this Qur'an as an intelligent source of light will come back in our lives and in our families and in our friends and our communities, we are part of this disaster. We are part of this disaster. Because the average Muslim doesn't care where he goes for Jum'ah. It doesn't bother him or her where they go for Jum'ah. Because to them, Jum'ah is a Jum'ah. It's a traditional thing. It doesn't bother whether this Imam talk A or that Imam talk Z. It doesn't bother. Because why do you go to the Jum'ah? My father went to the Jum'ah. My mother went to the Jum'ah. Everybody went to the Jum'ah, so I have to go to Jum'ah too. What did you get from the Jum'ah? You went to Jum'ah 52 Jum'ahs in a year. Sure I did. What did you learn? What did you do with what you learned? How relevant is what you hear in the masjids in Jum'ah to your practical life every day and every week? Most Muslims are disconnected with it because they don't go there. Many people just go for what? You ask the average person who calls to find out, when is the salah? I said, what? When is the salah? I said, I don't know when is the salah. I know when is the khutbah. That's what they're concerned about. Because you have a lot of people like cattle in this community practicing what they don't know about. This Qur'an tells me and you that Ramadan is meant to look at the Qur'an for hidayah, not to listen to Qur'an, not to listen to a Qari or Qur'an, or to read this Qur'an like a andalib, like nightingale or beautiful thing. I know music is very popular in the Muslim world, but this Qur'an is not for musical purposes. Hudan linnas wa bayinat. Bayinat means clear expositions min al-huda, of that same guidance, wal furqan. It means this Qur'an is the book of guidance and has minute expositions of every aspect of the guidance, and also of this text that should form the standard, the yardstick, the measuring device to separate good from bad, loftiness from stagnation, guidance from misguidance. What I want to say to myself and to you, all the rituals Muslims have been doing, Ask yourself, what benefit